Alert, alert, America is currently going through a strategic collapse, and this is why you should consider leaving forever. Listen, every empire in history has collapsed. Ancient Greece, ancient Rome, ancient Egypt, all of these empires collapsed, and America is no different. But unlike all of these other empires, I've never seen in these history books any empire that has collapsed as strategically as America right now, okay? This is a deliberate dismantling of the worker economy, replaced with hyper-consumerism in a post-capitalism society. And this hyper-consumerism only enriches the lives of the tech billionaires and CEOs. I mean, just look at the last few months. Look at the last year. Since January 2025, we have seen tech billionaires come into the White House for an inauguration. They have actually been named as chief military. Some of these tech billionaires that have these certain AI companies stating that they are going to be these chief military leaders, which would typically take 20 years to receive that type of status. And look, if you are still telling yourself that America is the best country in the world, pause, because you're regurgitating what you heard your grandparents saying without critical thinking and analyzing what's actually happening today. Because here's the reality. That golden era of America does not exist. The America that our grandparents loved is not a thing anymore. The golden age of the worker happened from 1945 to 1975, and I want to break it down in the first part of this video so that we can really understand what's happening and how this is super strategic. Now, I want you to hit that like button, and I want you to share this with 50 people if at all possible, because I'm trying to warn all Americans to leave, okay? This is literally collapse timeline, life or death. Leave. The only people who are going to survive in this society are the tech billionaires, literally. Those are the only ones that are going to enjoy this new workforce that they are putting out there. Now, let's zoom back to 1945, shall we? After World War II, the United States and much of Europe entered a golden era of workmanship-focused economics. The formula was simple. Productivity and wages rose together. A single factory job could pay for a home, a car, and a vacation. And CEOs earned 20 times the average worker's wage by that standard if you were to equate it to today. So it's basically pretty good. You could get a home, you could get a car, you could live your best life. And that is why our grandparents said America is the best place. I know in my family in particular, they had traveled all across Asia, all across Europe, and then they had lived abroad for 5 to 10 years, came back to America and decided, hey, this is the best place right now. And I agree with that sentiment for the time frame of the 1950s and 60s and 70s. But something crazy happened after 1975, and I want you to chime in down below and let me know if you know what it is. Let's just run through a quick case study. Let's say that a Detroit auto worker was alive in the 1960s. The average auto worker in that time earned the equivalent of today's $35 an hour with full benefits and a pension. Today, an Amazon warehouse worker earns $16 to $18 an hour with no security, less than half, even before accounting and housing inflation. The shift is not only economics, okay? It's cultural. In the 1960s, workers were citizens. In 2025, they're merely consumers. And so here is the strategic turn that took place in the 1970s and 80s. Whoo, child, and I'm a 90s baby, so it's like, for the generations that were born after the 80s, there's just no hope. It total collapse. But come on, let's get back on track, okay? So this was the strategic collapse that began in the 70s. Oil shocks, stagflation, and global competition gave elites the cover that they needed. Reagan in the US and Thatcher in the UK dismantled unions, deregulated industries, and slashed taxes for who? The wealthy. Shareholder value, not worker dignity, became the new corporate gospel. Outsourcing hollowed out communities, and from then on, wages flatlined. But rather than admit a decline, which everyone can now see, America gave workers a drug called consumer debt. Credit cards, student loans, subprime mortgages. Families kept spending even as their wages were stagnated. The worker economy quietly died, replaced by none other than the consumer economy. So, consumerism is the weapon of collapse, and this is why I'm saying it's strategic. This was not a cultural accident. Post-capitalism, which is basically the era that we're in now after the capitalism that happened or started to occur in the 1970s and 80s, we are now in a post-capitalist world, okay? And we're gonna get into some crazy statistics that are just really gonna just put the icing on the cake and make you feel like, oh no, I got to get up on out of here, I got to go, because this is on a downslide. Not just a downslide, but a rapid decline into oblivion. And every nation on the planet Earth can see it, especially those who are economically savvy, financially savvy, countries that have entrepreneurs, freelancers, people that are just regular critical thinkers, which is something America has deeply began to lack since the 80s. So this consumer-focused debt economy had workers feeling like they were no longer advancing. Revolt would have been inevitable. So instead, they were smart on this one, from their perspective. Instead, workers were fed with endless goods, status, symbols, distractions to say, hey, don't pay attention that the economy is declining, that you can't get as much money worth as your grandparents got, that not enough Americans actually own homes. Don't pay attention to any of that. Here's another credit card. Here, start a new business. Get another credit card. Get this credit card. And thus, how the consumer debt cycle continues on a perpetual loop until you decide to break out of it. The mall became the temple. Advertising became the scripture. And shopping, that became a civic duty. The lie was brilliant though, wasn't it? You are free as long as you can buy. Oh gosh. So now we're entering the 2000s to 2025, the age of the tech CEO emperor. We got to get into some of the chilling numbers here, okay? Because here's the results that we have been building up to. Again, remember, in 1965, CEOs made 20 times worker wages, period. In 1989, that ratio climbed by 61 times. By 2021, just 4 years ago, it hit 399 times. Thanks to the Economic Policy Institute for those statistics. And listen, in certain industries, especially tech, that ratio is closer to 1,500 to 20,000 times the worker wage. This is capitalism on steroids. This is why I'm articulating it and saying this isn't just like regular capitalism. This is capitalism on drugs. This is the post-capitalist society that has just literally become too greedy. And we all know when a society is too greedy, there's no possible way it can sustain itself. Here we are today in America. Workers are no longer the backbone of society. They are raw material to be mined for clicks and extracted for data and consumer debt. Let's go to a case study. Amazon versus the worker. Jeff Bezos' net worth, that's 190 million. Oh, my bad. Billion with the B. Yep, I said that right the second time. Amazon's warehouse workers' annual salary, that's $35,000 to $40,000 a year. And the ratio, Bezos earns in 7 seconds what his warehouse staff earns in a year. Let's count 7 seconds real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh snap! Jeff Bezos just made his yearly salary just multiple times within this video, okay? And this, again, is not capitalism. It's feudalism dressed in Silicon Valley casual. And this is why tech CEOs love and ostracize this collapse. This is not an accident. They are taking part of this. They are happy. Remember when Elon was in the inauguration? I don't know if you guys watched it. Me and my husband watched it. Like, this is really, really weird. Like, we watched the entire thing. Elon, if you would have noticed, he was so happy. He was doing his little hand movement. And you're like, why is this man so happy up here on this stage? And now I'm about to tell you why. Listen, The dark reality is that America's collapse created the tech billion trillionaire empire that we see today. Desperate workers turn to gig apps like Uber, Instacart, and Fiverr, paddling Silicon Valley profits. Isolated families retreat into online platforms, driving Meta, TikTok, and Netflix empires, and underpaid professionals seek AI. AI hacks are in the mix now, and side hustles making OpenAI, Google, and Microsoft indispensable. So these tech companies have now gone from a nice thing to have on your phone, something that you can do in your leisure time, to, oh, you need this to just survive if you are in the West, okay? And every fracture in society is another monetization of opportunity. Tech CEOs are not bystanders to the collapse. They are the primary beneficiaries. And here's the real cognitive dissonance of it all. Why do still people believe in America? Like, why are people, I never get it. I never get it where I see people online, Americans that are like, I love America, it's the greatest place, especially in 2025. I don't get it. And, I was thinking, and I was going back to my psychology training, going back thinking about neuroscience, and it's literally an issue of cognitive dissonance, okay? This is why millions chant, oh gosh, this is the greatest country in the world, okay? They remember their grandparents' stories in the 50s. They confuse America's military dominance with social well-being. We can see that. I have to do another video on that. I'm not gonna get off on a tangent, but we can see that with the troops on the ground in DC, soon to be the troops on the ground in Chicago, soon to be the troops on the ground in Columbus, Ohio, period. Militarized streets. It used to be that militaries would go and fight overseas, but now they fight in the States, the people. That is literally civil unrest at its finest. And this is why I say it's so weird when people say, maybe one day you'll go back to America. Come back, it's the greatest nation. If by greatest the requirement is the quickest to decline in world history, then perhaps so. And people also cling to patriotism because of the alternative. Admitting to the collapse feels unbearable, and I get that. But denial does not stop the decline, okay? Now, think about this. Middle class flights. Over 9 million Americans now live abroad. Shout out to the U.S. Department of State. This actual guideline that they released in 2023 cites that many say that healthcare, stagnant wages, and political instability are the reasons for Americans leaving in record numbers. And this is not temporary travel. This is a permanent exit abroad. The middle class is fleeing, even as the media insists that all is well in the paradise of America. And here's why you should consider leaving forever, the way that my family and I have. If you care about stability, humanity, freedom, America is no longer your safest bet. Hey, can we be real for a moment? Leave a comment down below and say real if I have permission to get real with you for a moment. Really authentic. At the end of the day, healthcare is the #1 cause of bankruptcy in America. Talking about your medical bills. In France or Germany, which are also Western societies, healthcare is a right. Like, healthcare is free in a lot of their parallel European societies. So it's like, where exactly did America go wrong with that? And work-life balance, oh child, the US is the only advanced economy on the face of the planet with no mandated paid vacation. Oh, and the cost of living, child, housing affordability is at a 40-year low. Let that sink in. The cost of living, your ability to purchase a house or even to rent a house, is at a 40-year low. Meanwhile, Portugal, Mexico, Mauritius, South Africa, Ghana, Albania, Vietnam, the Philippines all offer a much lower cost of living than America. And here's what you should know. Leaving is not betrayal. It is survival at this rate, especially if you have children, you have nieces and nephews, you have, You just want to be somebody that wants to breathe oxygen without stress and anxiety. You just want to eat normal food. You want to have a good work-life balance the way that we do, and say, hey, I work a couple hours a day and that's it. I'm not working 40 hours a week. Not going to work 35 hours a week. Not going to work 60 hours a week either. I'm going to go exercise, swim, speak to my children, homeschool, do meaningful things with my husband, not just sit at a computer all day long and lose my mind. And if you're wondering where the future is being built, you know I can't leave this video without giving you some solutions. First of all, you should go tune in to the Mauritius Africa playlist. Mauritius is one of my favorite countries on earth, period, for people from the West to transition to. It's super easy, but there are places all over Asia, Africa, and Europe that are quietly creating havens for workers and entrepreneurs. You can even do Portugal, which has a digital nomad visa with access to EU markets. Mauritius has their 10-year occupation permit. Vietnam and Thailand have a low cost of living and strong expat networks. South Africa has a digital nomad visa. Ghana, there's so many great countries that exist on the face of the planet, particularly on the continent of Africa, that just have better situations for you, okay? And yes, it will feel like a culture shock that you actually have to slow down in your life. I promise it's not going to kill you. It's actually going to help you to live longer. Now let me know, do you see this pattern? Collapse wages drive desperation. Drive desperation, create consumers. Create consumers, monetize every single aspect of life. The cycle is complete. And America has shifted from the land of the free and the home of the brave to the land of the consuming and debt-ridden for life. The CEOs aren't just winning the game anymore. They rewrote the entire playbook. And here's my final warning for you. The answer is to exit. This is the alert that nobody wants to hear, but I'm going to say it to you. The worker economy is gone. It will never return. The humane America that your grandparents lived in and that they would tell you about is never, ever, ever coming back. Consumerism has destroyed the nation from the inside out. And the billionaires, especially the tech elite, they are cheering, they are happy, they are living their best lives. And look, you can stay and pretend, or you can wake up and chart a new path abroad, because history is clear. Every single empire must collapse, but only the wise escape before the rubble burns them. America is not collapsing. It has already collapsed. What you're living in now is consumerism, the afterglow, the illusion. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can plan your exit outside of the West for good and move to a society that still values humanity over corporate profit. Shalom, shalom. I'll see you in the next video.